speaker for this morning. Let me tell you, I can't. She is so warm and cuddly. I love her to death. Ilene Balentine has been a spiritualist for around 35 years and a professional medium for over 30 years. The personal growth workshops that she teaches gives a playful way of accepting a look at life and its challenges and making it comfortable for students to explore and make shifts that bring them peace and comfort. Ilene's greatest joy these days comes from playing with one or all of her 4 granddaughters. And let me tell you, I love watching the Facebook videos. They are so sweet. Please help me in welcoming Ilene to the podium. Thank you, Katie.
Good morning. Even though I put my font in like 28, I'm going to put these on just in case. If you've attended services here before, then you know that the speakers often discuss spiritualism, mediumship, natural law, and physical phenomenon, among many other things. And I love all those subjects, and I think they're an important part of our journey. However, I have to say that as a human, navigating through this physical world, I needed other tools as well. Just as we light candles for body, mind, and spirit, I believe we also need to pay attention to our emotional body. And that brings us to the subject of my lecture today, which is how to handle your humanness. I feel like this is a timely message to share. There are storms brewing everywhere. Weather storms, political storms, and personal storms. I think that any tool that assists us as humans to have more peace and more joy and comfort and more love in our lives is an invaluable tool. I spoke at Lyceum last month, and the subject was a spiritualist's perspective on healthy relationships with self and others. In that service, we explored how our relationship with ourself really colors our relationship with everybody else. And there was a great response to that service. Some of you are here today that were there. So I'm going to try not to repeat too much, but rather build upon what we talked about that day. This part I will repeat, though, because I just think that it's so important for us as humans to start to understand what makes us tick. So as children, we are great observers. I mean, we see, hear, feel, sense everything, right? But we don't really have the emotional maturity or the wisdom to interpret what we see, feel, hear, and sense. So what we do is we just make stuff up. We do. We fill in the blanks. And I don't know about all of you, but for me, I didn't often fill in the blanks with, wow, I must be like super cool. That's why Dad's screaming and yelling at me. We filled them in with probably the worst case scenarios that we could think of. For instance, if your mom rushes you every morning to get to school, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, you have to get to school, hurry up, hurry up. A child might start to believe, oh, there's something wrong with me. You know, I'm just not fast enough, or I'm not organized enough, or in some cases even, you know, does mom really love me? If she loved me, would she be pushing me like this? Would she be hurrying me? So these thoughts that we have as children, we think them over and over again, and then they just form beliefs. And over time, these beliefs become our truth. So most of us here today, most of us on this planet, are walking around, living our lives, making decisions based on beliefs that we came up with as children. And they made perfect sense then. Road rage, politics, family disputes, just to name a few, these are usually the result of childhood beliefs that have not been explored and not been healed. So you got a bunch of toddlers out there driving a bunch of tons worth of metal, getting angry at each other. My truck's bigger than your truck. My dad's bigger than your dad. No, I won't, and you can't make me, right? Not going to let someone merge in front of me. No, I won't, and you can't make me. So I'll give you an example of how a belief that you can make as a child can affect you your whole life. When I was around 10 or 11 years old, my friend Suzanne had a slumber party, and she invited all of our friends except for me. I was crushed. I was absolutely crushed. I remember that pain. Sitting in my bedroom wondering what they were all doing. And since I didn't have the tools to make a rational decision about that, and I didn't have anyone that I trusted in my life to share my feelings with, I just filled in the blanks with, I'm not good enough. Nobody wants to play with me. I'm never going to be popular. All these things, right? So believe me, humans are excellent at finding evidence to prove their beliefs are right, whether it's in our best interest or not. I set out to prove I was right. So there I was, sleepwalking through life, looking for evidence that I wasn't good enough. And believe it or not, that didn't bring me a lot of peace and joy. It wasn't until I found teachers and workshops who helped me address and heal some painful events that I experienced all those years ago. And from that soft, receptive place, I was able to make new, healthier beliefs about myself and others also, and even about life. And when I make new beliefs, such as I'm a blessing, or I'm fun, of course people want to play with me, then I go out into the world and I look for evidence to prove those beliefs are right. And believe me, the universe will have people show up left and right to prove those beliefs are right. And I found it in the grocery stores. I found it places. I was just at Publix waiting for my deli meat, and this young woman turned to me and she looked at me and she said, "You're a really good person. I see your insides." And I was at a restaurant one day and this little girl just ran up to me and hugged me and kissed me on the cheek and said, "I love you so much and I've missed you." I've never met her in my life. So when you change your beliefs, it's so much fun to allow the universe to prove that right. So how do you change a belief that's no longer serving you? That's a trick question, really, because the fact that you still have the belief proves that it's still serving you in some way. Maybe it's a protection. As long as I say to myself, I'm not good enough, it protects me from having to hear it from some other people. So it could be protection. Perhaps it's like anesthesia. Perhaps it dulls the emotional pain of the initial wound. The first step to examining and possibly changing an awareness is to accept. When you become aware that a belief causes stress or separates you from something or someone, you have to just accept that this is just a belief I have, without any judgments, without any regrets. In order for me to change a belief that I've become aware of, I get curious. Like, how did that belief serve me? What has it done for me? I'll give you an example. I smoked for many years, and I attempted to quit over and over again. And when I was 53, my first granddaughter was born. And every time I smoked a cigarette, I had to wash and change my shirt and stuff. And so it was starting to be a hassle, but I still didn't stop. So I just thought, I've been doing visualizations up until then with my inner child, my inner little girl. I thought, I'm going to go inside and see what my inner teenager's up to. Because that's how old I was when I started smoking. So I laid down that night and I visualized my 14-year-old self, and she was standing outside smoking, and she turned around and looked at me coming into the visualization, and she said, "What are you doing here? You weren't there for me. You were never there for me, so just back off." So I was like, ooh, she's mad. So I did this a couple nights in a row, and then finally on the third or fourth night in my visualization, she said to me, "If you're going to stalk me, then you might as well come up and stand next to me." And she had a cigarette in her hand. She said to me, "And I bet you have something to say about this." And I looked at the cigarette, and I looked at her, and I went, "Thank you. I remembered when I was 14 years old and my dad would scream at me and I was terrorized. When he would go to bed, I would steal one of his cigarettes, go outside and light that cigarette and go, everything's going to be okay, 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 everything's going to be everything. And I would calm down and my insides would calm down, and all of a sudden, things felt like I could last another day. So I looked at my 14-year-old self and I said, thank you for picking up cigarettes and not a sharp implement. Thank you for finding a way to dull the pain that I didn't think I had tools to bear. So I ended that session, and the next day I was taking some food to my parents and to drop off in Ormond Beach. And on the way, and I noticed I was out of cigarettes, so on the way home I was going to stop at this Circle K at the end of my street, and this voice said, "Oh, you quit." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I haven't smoked in 8 years. And and the reason I wanted to share that story with you is I don't care if it's alcohol, if it's drugs, if it's overworking, overthinking, whatever you picked up or decided to do as a child to protect yourself was beautiful, was perfect, and may have saved your life. And now, as a grown, wise adult, you get to question some of these habits and beliefs and say, is it in my best interest right now? Is it in my highest good? Does it represent the me that I am becoming or have become? So you get to choose. This doesn't mean by any means that my life is perfect. I get sad, I get angry, I get anxious, I get jealous. I still have conflict with myself and others. However, I now have tools to assist me in making new beliefs if and when I'm ready to. And sometimes I just choose not to. Like, I have beliefs that make no sense to anyone else, and I believe them, and I haven't chosen. I believe that you can't lean against the car door or you're going to fall out on the street and die. I believe that every time you go over a bridge, you have a 99% chance of getting eaten by alligators. They haven't created enough distress in my life to think about even changing them. I just laugh. But you can't imagine the sense of freedom and relief that I feel when I fully accept the fact that all those years I've been blaming other people for my feelings, and I don't have to do that anymore. No one else is responsible for my feelings but me. Just as we state in our seventh principle, I am responsible for my own happiness or unhappiness. And sometimes, you know what? Sometimes I just choose to be unhappy. Sometimes I'll just say, I'm going to have a pity party. I even did it on Facebook one time. I invited people to join my pity party. And I gave out prizes. They had to prove that they could have a more pitiful than me. So the thing is that if no one is in charge of my unhappiness, then no one's in charge of my happiness. I don't have to rely on anybody to be any way to be happy. I recently co-created and taught a workshop called Calm in the Storm. And in this workshop, the students practiced exercises that help them become aware that the storm is always inside us. It's never out there. I like to use the analogy that, if Jamie brushed up next to me and brushed up against my arm, I probably it wouldn't hurt, right? I might not even feel it. But if I had a deep, painful bruise on that arm and she barely touched it, it would be painful, right? It's not the brush, it's not the poke, it's not the other person that's causing the pain. It's the bruise of unhealed trauma that is there. And scientists and biologists, all these people are proving that to be true. That our bodies, our emotional bodies, hold energy, hold information, and until that's released in some healthy way, it is very painful when someone pokes that. So, when you start to use some of these tools and make some of these changes, the thing that happened for me was that I was able to pause because I checked in with my body. I could be in the middle of a conversation with one of my daughters, and I would stop and say, hey, you know what? I have some feelings about that. I'm not sure what that's all about, so I'm going to end this conversation now and work on that. And then when I came back as a healed, wise, loving, compassionate mother. Because I had to take care of me first. I can't mother my children or my grandchildren until I mother myself and take care of myself. The best and most amazing gift I ever gave my daughters was to go to parenting school when my oldest daughter was 2 years old. That was the best gift I could give them. And the second best gift was then to go to workshops to heal me. Because when we don't heal ourselves, we pass that on. I have generational trauma. I mean, I've never really in my whole life had a place where I didn't have enough money to eat, right? No, my parents did. We were middle class. But I still carry some of the trauma of my grandmother going through the Depression. Sometimes I'll be doing something and I'll say, oh, you have to say that last bit and I think, oh, that's not even my voice. So some of the stuff we carry around is because of the gender we are, or because of the religion we are, or because of anything, and it doesn't matter. What matters is if it's causing you distress or causing you pain, then it's something you may want to look at. So I know this is a lot of information that I talked about today. I just hope that each of you heard something that invites you to get curious about your humanness, your feelings, and the way you relate to yourself and others. And I hope you'll consider taking full responsibility for your own happiness. And also know that your unhappy feelings, your stressful feelings, are amazing opportunities for healing. And in closing, I'm going to share with you a poem that I wrote for today. It doesn't have a title, so we'll just call it Untitled. The times, they are a-changing. There's chaos in the air. And if you choose not to choose, your choice will be despair. The definition of despair means there is no hope, like being stuck in quicksand with no one to cast a rope. It feels like life is out of control. Everyone is keeping score. What was down is up and up is down. No place feels safe anymore. It may be time to plot your course, surrendering the fight, and from that place get curious. How can I bring the light? The answer is very simple, though the effects are very deep, like a lullaby to soothe your soul and wake you from your sleep. Be gentle as you awaken to the song of Spirit's voice. Remind yourself often that love is always a choice. Be kind to self and others, especially when we fall. Give grace to those in need, making space for one and all. So now, you know the secret, but you knew it from the start. Your journey to find the light has returned you to your heart. Thank you all.